I heard for a superstar, so I was gonna give her your compliment.
All right. All right, start the meeting. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome to the March 10th regular meeting, and everybody is in attendance for school board members. So we'll move right into 4.0 to move the agenda, and I'll move to approve. Good. Any questions or discussions on the agenda?
The only comment I would make is, and we'll have some more conversation as we get there. There was an item added today, the achievement integration. And it's an 8-page document and we will discuss, there's going to be some conversation about it, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware it was added. If you printed or looked before, we'll get to it.
All right, any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Go to 5.0 communication and reports with enrollment update first.
Looking at the change, I mean, we're down 4 kids from last month. So it's slowed a little bit, which is a good thing. It's 3 in grade 11, down 2 in grade 7, down 1 in grade 4, up 1 in grade 2, and up 1 in kindergarten. And so, I mean, there's not much more to say than that. I mean, we're at 1931, that's K-12. The pre-K has not changed. And to be honest, it looks like it's if trend falls, it'll stay pretty steady. That's going to be our number. Then the last couple months doesn't seem to change much.
No, I mean, like you said, the trends, like if you look at the previous years, other than a couple years, this is what it does. Any questions on enrollment? Okay. Finance, Carla.
Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Okay. On the first page of not the treasurer's report, the board report, just kind of a quick note. When Kevin and I were reviewing, it was brought to my attention that my formula for my remaining budget did not come over from the adopted budget. So that number's off. We'll fix it for the next report that goes in board book. But for some reason it didn't save. But the percentages of the budget received are correct. So 2 notes on the front page is if you look at our supplies line, we are still sitting at 72% of what we've used. So we'll continue to watch that closely, trying to monitor our supplies expenses. And then on the other expenditures line, C, we've only spent 12%, and that's because we have some extra money sitting there for incidentals that we didn't quite have earmarked for anything specific. So that's sitting in that bucket. That is all I had on that page. Any questions there?
any questions from the board?
Okay, so going on to our other fund accounts, we are sitting pretty trendy with where we have been in the past. Just a note with the revenue for food service, we've been collecting those a lot faster for our monthly payments, so that's why the percentage change is there. And I went pretty conservative with what the state is going to be paying us this year, so that may fluctuate at the end of the year. Just a note for that. The big change is our community ed numbers, and that's just due to because we've moved all of our VPK dollars, meaning our 4-year-old teachers and a few paras, into the general fund, which I don't have the dollar amount on top of my head, but it was a significant dollar amount. So, and that went with the same with the expenditures. So the revenue followed. And And those are the two big notes on that page. Any questions there?
Any questions?
Okay. And then the treasurer's report. Our cash position is still way over what we were last year, which is pleasant to see. Going to continue monitoring that. Hopefully it stays on trend. But the big note is our community services fund, which is our non-public and our community ed programs. And you can see by getting our VPK dollars, it almost cut their fund deficit by half. So that is a positive note. We'll continue to work with Diane and we'll make sure that that stays in the positive direction. I do have projected for them to be in the black this year due to that change. So I'm hoping we can move on that trend. That's all I had.
Any questions for Carla?
No, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carla.
Okay, 5.3 administration department head reports. Start with superintendent.
Okay, I will hit some things. I'm sure Brian's gonna hit on a few of them as well. Robotics, Brian talked about a month ago about how good they were doing, and I think it's since the last meeting, a state tournament and some world invites. I believe you got an email with an event tomorrow, if anyone can make it. I think it's 4:30 to 6:30 or something, where they'll do some demonstrations upstairs here, so that is awesome. Obviously, boys hockey this last weekend, awesome, congrats. Boys basketball Wednesday at Concordia. Encourage people to go. And I'll even throw it out there, Sacred Heart girls are going to state. Nevin was down and watched the boys hockey game. It's a great time to be an East Sider, be green wave, and support. It's just a good thing for kids. And so a lot of positive, very happy, and I would thank our staff. The principals have done a lot to accommodate other staff over the last several days, and it just takes a lot. And we would do it whether it was girls basketball, soccer, whatever. But I thank them and others that have helped, because there's people covered classes, this and that. So that's all good. As far as budget, the budget is not quite ready next year's. I'm just going to give a heads up. We're going to need a little more time next meeting. So I'm just kind of forewarning, it'll be ready. We're going to have to do some work as we start to make some decisions. So I think we'll be quicker tonight, but next one might be a little longer.
You want a working session?
Well, it's gonna have to be part of the meeting, because I think some things might have, and we might not make decisions on
Sure.
certain things. But I think there may be some things that the board wants to say, yeah, we're set here when you see the numbers.
Okay.
And then there may be some, so we'll figure it out as we go closer, but I think we'll need some time. So with that said, one other thing, just to give a heads up, I'm taking off tonight with 13 other soups to go to the state capitol for tomorrow morning. We're there at 8 o'clock. I'll be back tomorrow night. Again, I'm always available by phone, but it's this region does a day, all the different regions. And so it's go meet with certain people, not over optimistic that we're going to change, financially, there's not a lot that
Right.
to be optimistic about, I guess I would say. But there are still things that could change to help us. So we will do some advocating and see where it goes. So that's all I have now. I have a little bit on committees when we get
Sure.
there. And
Okay, principals, who do we want to start with? Diane? You have things tonight?
There we go. All right, good evening. I just have a little quick note. We finished up early childhood screening, but we don't have numbers for you yet. We're figuring out who was referred, and we'll go on further, or who we're going to rescreen in the fall. But we had a pretty good turnout for screening this year, screened about 80 some kids, or maybe a few less than that. But I'll have numbers for that at the next school board meeting. But I did want to let you know, I renewed so we get 2 pots of money. We have VPK funding, but we also have what's called Pathway 2 funding. And so both require submittal every year if you want the funding. And I just finished our Pathway 2 funding for next year, and it has gone up. We used to get $7,500 per student, and we're allotted 5 students. We're still allotted only 5 students, but the funding went up to $8,500. So we'll see an increase of $5,000 in that funding stream. So, and that has different markers in it too. We usually use it with our 3-year-old program, but we can use it in either program should the need be there. So it's nice to see an increase in that funding for next year. So that's all I have.
Did you have anything on community ed? It has you on here for community ed director too, so I'm just curious if you had anything for community ed.
We offered a class, been looking for people to teach classes. We did some classes with Ellen from Thrivent, and we had 3 people turn out, one of which was me because I was kind of interested in what she had to say. 4 people one night, 3 people the rest. I'm working right now with a gentleman who wants to do a wood carving session in April. So we're putting together a flyer, and it's going to be hosted at CMS. And then really working towards getting summer programming good to go with Summer Wave up in for the summer, and activities we can do with kids in the summer, and volleyball. We always do a good volleyball clinic in July. And then Kelly Zabriskie always offers preschool playground. So working with those folks that are standard and trying to, I've done some work with the FIAD teacher from New Heights. We're looking at doing some kind of a ninja summer course. So she's going to put together what materials we would need and how we could offer that. She was very excited about the prospect. So I'm working with her to get something going for that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Melissa. Chad's out.
Just so you're aware, Chad sent this, and I'd mentioned earlier that one of the asks was to kind of report in on testing and how things are going. And the elementary ed conferences, last time we had reports, so he's out, but he sent this, so that's where this came from.
All right, good evening. I just want to start off by giving a big thank you to Jace Rosendahl and his family from Grand Forks. Their family supplied numerous items to students at South Point over the winter this year, including boots, snow pants, clothing, and so it was just greatly appreciated. And so I just want to recognize that family.
What's the name? Sorry.
Rosendahl, Jace Rosendahl, and his family, his parents, his brothers and sisters, that's how they contributed throughout the holiday season this year to each other. And so they decided to adopt our school, and it was just really cool and very much appreciated for our students. Something I just wanted to bring up, we've talked about it before, just the continued safety concerns that we have out in our area with the Bigland and Hawk signal. We've been working with Safe Kids and with our local law enforcement of just trying to get that safety of everyone understanding how to use the Hawk signal, having kids use it appropriately. It just continues to be a concern with that. And I also wanted to bring up, we had our winter walk to school day back in February, first part of February. And so we did work jointly with Safe Kids with that, and then also with our local police department. And it was noticed there that a lot of kids were riding up front in the front seats. And so we've done a big movement with Safe Kids to help families be aware of that, because it's a Minnesota state law that went into effect August 1st this past year. And so we have a big sandwich board that's been out for the last few weeks from Safe Kids, just going over the law and what's required, where kids should be seated. They've been a presence out at South Point, and they have issued some warnings to quite a few of our families that have been dropped off. So I just wanted people to know that that's not a South Point rule, that that's a state law, and
What
that
is it, you know?
that you have to be Yep, you have to be
13?
under the age of 13 to ride in the back seat. This went into effect August 1st. Yeah. Yep. And so you have to meet those height requirements and weight requirements. And so they've been out there as a presence. And so,
So along with age, there's also height and weight requirements?
yes.
And it's
Yep,
both, not either or?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, and so I just wanted everyone to be aware because we have had that presence out in our front for the last couple weeks of why they've been there. I wanted to share our reading goal and math goal. So they're very similar goals, but our South Point will use the data on each individual student who has a 90% school attendance or higher to measure their growth over the school year. So we use FastBridge for that testing. Using the FastBridge A reading assessment, 65% of those South Point students will meet or exceed their projected end of the year goal by spring 25 using that FastBridge assessment. So right now we're currently sitting at 56%. Our math goal is the same with that 90% of school attendance higher, but using that FastBridge A math assessment, 55% of those South Point students will meet or exceed their projected goal, and we are currently sitting at 59%. So we've met that. Hopefully we can maintain that as we go into the spring. We are also gearing up for our MCAs, so a lot of preparation and gearing up for that. Another big thing that's happening at South Point right now is I Love to Read Month. We have a superheroes theme. So I'm told I look very similar to Rosie, our superhero, and Mr. Adolphson looks very familiar, very like striking resemblance to Rusty, another superhero. So
Weird.
book bandits have gotten our books out at South Point, and so we're asking our South Point students to read as much as they can throughout the month of March so we can get our superpowers back. So we've got some fun events throughout the month to celebrate that. And then we also have our big book bingo event, which is a free event for our families we have that on Thursday, March 27th from 5:30 to 6:30. So lots of fun things happening.
Fun.
Any questions?
Questions for Melissa? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you just want us to read this or were you gonna go over it all? Okay.
It's for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everyone. I just have to go back to the activities that were being shared in the celebrations and add some more to the list, because why not? When you have things to celebrate, let's just keep the list nice and long. So we have esports students, just a couple that are participating at CMS, but they are rock stars. We had a couple that went to state and they came back with 3 silvers. That's awesome. I know. And it was in St. Cloud this year. That is different. In the past, we've had the opportunity to just be local here at UND. But this year it's Minnesota, and so they had to go to St. Cloud. And it was at the same time that our robotics things were kind of going on. So lots of things in the spring, lots of things in March. So esports, obviously our robotics, and we have CMS teams that were a part of that competition as well, did well at state and have the opportunity for our high school students to go to Worlds, which is awesome. And at CMS, we are, with the trophies that they earned this year, the teams, we're setting up a display right outside of our office because it's a pretty big deal what they've had going on. Our CMS musical just wrapped up. They had 5 performances. 3 were during the school day. Each grade level had a chance to see their peers perform. And then we had the evening performances, and we had an incredible amount of people that came. We had to bring out more chairs on Thursday night, and then I had thought that there might be less on Friday just because of some of the other things that were going on, and we were just a little bit shy of that number. So really impressive. So 280 is what we didn't print enough tickets for people, so it was just, okay, we'll take your cash and go find a spot, which is a good problem to have. And then certainly on Friday was a very big deal with our students having the first opportunity to go on a fan bus. And so very cool to get to state no matter what, to be able to send students on a fan bus, and to have a middle school fan bus is pretty incredible. And so I have to say a special thanks to Mr. Enright, who was our driver, to Mrs. Vetter, and then also Mrs. Beck, who are amazingly willing to hang out with 45 middle school students and get them where they need to go safely. And so that is incredible. And then I'm going to say a little message to the Xcel Energy Center. They need to find a better plan for bus parking, because Mr. Enright had to park, I think, across the river, and then it was a 15-20 minute walk for him to get over there. So that's a little bit frustrating, but he managed, of course, because it's Mr. Enright. So definitely a special thanks to those individuals. Obviously, a good luck to our basketball team as they're going to Concordia on Wednesday, and then to our youth basketball teams who are playing this weekend too with our home booster tournament. That is a very big deal. And then also a bigger thanks too to all of the teams that coordinate and help and donate and bake and do all of the things, because when they do that, then their reward is during their season, because the Sports Boosters does a lot for the programs that we have. We at CMS have conferences this Wednesday and the following Wednesday. They're from 3:30 to 6:30. They are open house style, which means that you can find almost all of our teachers in their classrooms ready to visit and fill in and explain kind of progress and where things are going and goals to wrap up the school year. Our 6th grade teachers are going to be in the cafeteria so that it's maybe easier to locate and navigate. They did that in the fall and they liked that. That seemed to work well. It is the end of our 3rd quarter on March 21st. And so we are just reminding and kind of pushing students forward and telling them that everything they do between now and then just counts in the positive, and points equals better percentage. And let's do this. Let's go. And then because it's the time of year, we're looking at our staffing, we're looking at our scheduling, we're looking at the opportunities that we're offering to our middle schoolers, because we know that opportunities equals motivation, and we want kids that are motivated. And then we have our Eastside Enrichment Day that is coming. It's March 24th. That's our Staff Development Day. It's the 2nd time that we have had this event going on. It's in the morning here at the senior high, and we have a website that shares all of the details with our staff. We have all staff that are invited, teachers, paraprofessionals, our office staff, and those even in our kitchen and bus if they are wanting or see things that are important or that would help them to do their work even better. They're invited as well. But some really good opportunities, lots of teacher relicensure options, some fun options, and then lots of good information to share, whether it is, let me give some examples, some trainings on ADHD, some trainings on IEPs, some trainings on CPR. There's some occupational therapy resources. There's sessions on vaping. There's sessions on Magic School, which is a tool that is accessible to our teachers and can help them to build lesson plans, with IXL, another program that we use. So the idea is that teachers have lots of choice and staff have lots of choice when it comes to their learning. So matching what it is that they need or they want so that it benefits students, which is all good. We're looking forward to spring. Really feeling like the weather earlier today was nicer than when we all walked in, but looking forward to having the spring activities and all the things that our middle schoolers can be a part of. To mention too, our CMS musical, we had 56 students that participated. That is incredible. Yeah, so certainly lots of things to celebrate, and let's keep it going. It's going to be a good spring. Thank you. Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to request to go first next time because everything I wrote down has been already said, so I'm good to go. I'm leaving. So, no, I'll be a little repetitive, but I have a couple other things to say. Again, with regard to robotics, our high school team that is going to Worlds was the Robot Skills Challenge champion for the state of Minnesota. So they were #1 in that. They're going to Worlds. That's Nolan Blair and Luke Mossman and Sebastian Olson, who have been kicking butt the entire robotics season. So they continue to do that. We did have a pep rally for them on the 27th of February before they went off, and had all of them down in the gym plus our student body. So that was kind of cool. Mr. Grover is correct. There is an open house upstairs tomorrow. It is from 4:30 to 6:30. So he's right, spot on. We had a pep rally for our state hockey team prior to them leaving on the 3rd of March. They obviously performed very well. Our cheerleaders were awesome. The band went down on Wednesday and came back on Wednesday. They didn't get back until 4:30 in the morning on Thursday. Thank goodness my sister-in-law is the director, so she didn't hate me too bad. But they got to go again on Friday and stay overnight and come back Saturday. So good for them. Boys basketball, like Mr. Grover mentioned, is playing Wednesday at Concordia. Hopefully we can go down to Concordia and be happy out leaving the facility twice, Wednesday and Friday. It doesn't happen a lot, but I think it's gonna happen this year. I got a good feeling, so that's good. Excuse me. We did have our first set of conferences on the 26th of February. Had a really good turnout, I think, for high school, and which isn't great. We can't even come close to matching the elementaries, but in the world of high school where parents have access daily to their records and their schooling, they sometimes let me know when an assignment's missing before the teacher even puts it in their grade book. So there's that. We have our second set of conferences on the 27th of March. Same thing, same forum that we have, open house. All the parents can go into the cafeteria and meet with whoever they want to meet with. And then March 21st coming up is the end of quarter, like Joe mentioned, but we do have a powwow, a school-wide powwow that day. Our session will be with New Heights, and I believe that's in the afternoon sometime, in the middle school at South Points in the morning. So more information on that. As far as high school registration is concerned, we pretty much have everybody registered for their classes they get to pick. Now have to go and figure out if there's 275 kids that are wanting to take fax class. I got to figure out how that looks and how many sections I got to have and fill all those things. So that's my next move with that. Upcoming, a little ways down the road, but thinking about for you guys, because it does involve you guys, we do have graduation, May 23rd, 7 o'clock at the Civic Center. Okay. I'll promise it'll be done in 3.5 hours or less. No, just kidding. Easily an hour or so. But I will say even farther down the road, next year's graduation, 2026, cannot be held in the Civic Center because they are doing the remodel and doing some other stuff with it. So I have been in touch with Pat Hill, who's kind of one of the big wheels at the Chester Fritz. So he's getting me a quote to just have everything there. And it's a nice facility. It's an awesome facility. I'd love to still try to keep it in East Grand Forks, but that's virtually impossible to try and put 2,000 people or 2,500 people into a building in East Grand Forks. It doesn't work. So in reality, it would be a better facility, but because it's air conditioned, it's climate, everything's climate controlled, everything's ready to go. Everything is all over there. We spend a lot of time on maintenance, getting stuff over to the pack, setting it all up, doing the things. All that would be done for us. The only thing we'd have to do is bring some band instruments a little bit. So, but it's going to probably be a couple grand or more to do it. But just something to think about down the road. So, unless you can find me a big old barn or something that has seating for 2,500. I knew I shouldn't have said it because and you were in that. But so yeah, lots of things going on. So, and there you go. What else? Any questions for me?
Questions for Brian?
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Right. Surya.
I will say this, and we had a welcome home for the hockey team yesterday, and, in my world, I mean, I appreciate the athleticism of the hockey players, but as a high school principal, I appreciate much more that every single one of those kids is a good person,
Yeah.
right? They are, and not that the other teams aren't, and don't take that the wrong way, but the hockey players are good people. They are never discipline problems. They are in the hallway, awesome to talk to, and that's what I worry more about. I mean, yep, if you're a great hockey player, great. If you're a great basketball player, great. But are you a good person? That's what I worry about the most. So, and they definitely are. All my athletes are. I don't have any issues with any of my athletes. That's a good thing. So, just wanted to share that because, like I said, in my world, that's way more important. So,
Agreed.
I'll say it's probably a pretty big shout out to all those coaches that are out there with those athletes.
Fair enough.
So
Yeah, swimmers are nothing but trouble.
good qualities to make them successful no matter what they're doing.
Yeah. You can see it in the interviews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't I fill just a little bit of
Sure.
time? I'm
Yep.
gonna jump to the, no, that's fine. Just as far as I'm gonna jump to the committees, just because I have a few things to update. The Health and Safety Committee did meet. It was a smaller group because we pushed it back a week and no one said anything, but I know six, seven, Amanda, I didn't count. It wasn't a huge, but I'm just gonna say no major issues. There's some, a few temp issues in buildings, some cleanliness, some bleacher stuff, some things we're working on, but it's where we're at. I sent the policy committee, there's a few updates to look at. Let know if you want to come back together. There's nothing emergency that has to be passed, but it's the latest version to come. We're gonna, I'm sure, get more here as the legislative session rolls on. And so anyway, look them over, let me know if we want to come together, we can. Should have them ready for next meeting. Just looking forward, there's a facility meeting which we do quarterly, and I believe that's Matt, Lindsay, and Josh will meet with Ron and look at kind of what's coming up for the summer. He asked if we could push it back to it's scheduled for next Monday, the 17th, which we don't have a meeting, but he was wondering, could we meet before our meeting on the 24th? And I'm just asking, I don't know what your schedules are like. Probably, I mean, half hour would be plenty. So if we went 5, we could be ready to go at 5:30. Would that work or not work or?
I will look.
Okay.
A lot of times I.
Yeah, let me know. And like say, if not, we can, I mean, there's nothing, that we have to meet or whatever, but we had scheduled them for quarterly and it just happened to hit the 17th and that was a thought. I mean, it's not going to be.
I can do that if I block in right now.
I'll send a reminder email.
It's you
Thank
three,
you.
right?
Does that work?
Good work.
Okay,
And then.
I'll know on Saturday,
you're right.
Oh, sure.
or I'll possibly
Cool.
know tomorrow, Wednesday, hopefully not, but we'll,
Right.
to be,
Won't be
TBD
I'll pop it
for
in
me.
there Just in case.
Yeah.
That way it's there.
I'll send a tentative.
Yep.
Thrown out. So, and that's all I have as far as committees right now. So just fill some time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So tonight we're going to talk about achievement integration and our plan for the next 3 years. Just to give a little background on what achievement integration is, this money's been around for a long time. It came to be when integration became approved by the Supreme Court, that there could no more be segregated schools. So it's been around for quite a while. And it is to reduce academic disparities, to create integration, both racial, ethnic, and from economic backgrounds for Minnesota schools. And how are we eligible to participate? So there's 4 different ways you can be eligible as a school district to participate. One is to be adjoined to a school district that is racially isolated. And we are connected to Crookston, which means they have a population of 20% of a protected class that is higher than any of the schools around them. And that's how we qualify for these dollars. So again, adjoining that racially isolated district. The second way is if you have a school within your school district that is racially from a protected class, excuse me, is more than 20%. And I believe within Crookston Public Schools, I think they do have a school that is identified. And then the other way that districts can participate is just voluntarily. They can geographically, depending on where they're located, they also can make an application to the Department of Ed to be able to participate as well. So there's 3 goals within this plan that we need to have. One is we need to have an integration plan with the districts that are adjoined to the racially isolated school district. So the districts that participate with Crookston is East Grand Forks and Thief River Falls. So the 3 of us, that kind of took a while to get together, make a plan, and all get on the same page there, but we finally did. The second goal is academic disparity, meaning, you know, looking at your gaps of opportunity or of achievement. And then a third goal around teacher equity. And all 3 of those goals need to be included within the plan. So we were put on needs improvement in this plan. And so looking at our data, we looked at some different things. One is we looked at our reading proficiency just across the district. And I know this is just one test on one day and all of that, you know, it's just good trend data for us to kind of keep track of. So over time, you can kind of see we've been really flat across the district with our reading overall. And then this is across schools, what that proficiency rate has looked like in those trends. So I'll give you a minute to look at that. And then we have targeted these dollars because a lot of these dollars are about career and college readiness and students being graduating from high school. So it makes sense that we would target these dollars towards our middle level where they're getting kids, you know, prepared right away for entrance into our career and college readiness pieces here at the high school. So when you break down our demographic data, it's really super interesting to look at this data. You can see we had a big spike there with our American Indian students who are of American Indian heritage. Our Hispanic students, you can see where they're sitting, and there was a little upward climb there. You can also see where our largest group, which is our children who are white, and you can see that our Black children have really increased rates in reading in the last few years. And I would call that's the first time I've ever seen a gap closure like that ever. So that's really exciting and something to really celebrate. And then also just so you can see from at Central Middle School as well, how our students who have some economic disparity, how they are performing and where they're at. So you can see reading overall, we really want to get into that higher range of the 70s and the 80s, which we're working on really hard, especially down at our elementaries, and they're doing a fantastic job. So how many dollars do we have to work with roughly with achievement integration? So we have around $209,000 that we can work with. The incentive revenue, that $20,000 has to be used for particular things. And we did find out that tutoring can fall into that. Thank you, Mr. Grover, for finding that out for us. So we, this is the budget we're proposing, which is 80% of that budget will be directed right at students and services for them. There'll be some dollars related to professional development, and I'll get into detail here about what some of those things will look like. But just so you have a picture of what we're thinking, plus the $20,000 related to the tutoring. Okay. So we're suggesting these strategies because the middle school has been working for a couple of years. They've been studying, looking at AVID overall, and making some decisions on how they would like to move forward. And one of the things they had, which I'm just so excited about it, but one of the things they are looking at for next year is starting with an elective in 7th grade, and then throughout the 3 years of this plan, having that blossom, and their site team working together to decide how that's going to move forward and what other staffing and those pieces that'll be needed. So back in that budget, if you think about it, we had some money for a director for Avid, and then we also have for some programming in there too, for other programming pieces that they may need people-wise too. So the site team will work on that. And then tutoring through partnerships, using resources that are in the community, folks that want to come in and help kids, students from the university, pieces like that. The middle school has always been looking for kids who don't have a relationship with an adult at the school. We're going to call that targeted connections, just to make sure those kids that don't have that have one person in the school that checks in with them frequently, and it could be anybody on staff. And then, of course, our multi-tiered supports, which we have been working on and putting in place over the last few years now. And also our community cultural navigator and some of the pieces and parts that she does, helping bring resources to families in need who may be homeless, who just may be in a crisis at any moment, if it's a mental health crisis, if it's a health crisis, if it's a, but helping navigate those systems and getting things in place. So those are kind of what we're suggesting for that academic disparity area. And so I brought Dr. Tack because he has been, we were so lucky to have him on staff, and I know Holly, you're an expert in this as well, in this area of Avid, but I just want to give you guys a little background on what it is and how we can get this exploratory year, 0 year off the ground at Central Middle School with some of these dollars and what it does. Dave, do you want to jump in at all? Are we good? You can jump in anytime. But okay, so AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. So what Central Middle School is looking at doing is starting with one elective class in the 7th grade. And through that, they'll be working on career and college readiness skills, and the Wicker strategies, which are writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. But we're really just going to focus on that reading area, since that's our overall what our data is showing. And then, of course, some field trips are involved there too. And so this one pager gives a nice explanation of what AVID is. It's really aimed at the academic middle, and they do a selection process for students to be in that AVID elective. And some of the skills that they work on are things that they need to be career and college ready, such as note-taking, self-advocating for themselves, doing goal setting, team building, study groups, all kinds of things that are super engaging and get kids active in school. And to be, there has to be a want and a desire to want to do this. And so through the process of selecting those kids for that elective, there are certain parameters around that and what that would look like. So they have to have a potential to be, for honors, advanced work in school, but they might need support. So that's those middle students. Has a GPA of 2.0 or higher, is scoring pretty well on like their STAR assessment, has good appropriate classroom behavior, good attendance, has the desire and determination to go to college, They could be the first in their family to attend college, would be a good AVID elective student. They could be from racially, cultural, or economic groups that is historically underserved, that getting to college could be a struggle. Be from a low-income family or have special circumstances that could be obstacles for achievement. What is not an AVID elective student is students who fail to complete any of their homework, or for students who consistently receive grades lower than 70%. They're not really motivated, and they need to have that individual determination. I want to do this. I'm vested. So Central Middle School has, like I said, started this discussion already. This is a way for the district to come from behind to support this important work that they're doing at the middle school, and not replicating or creating something new and different. Year 0, again, it will be the partial beginning with that elective, and then getting a site team involved, and that team going for some really strong professional development, and then making a plan on how they're going to move this forward at the school.
Because there is a school-wide portion to
Yep.
this, okay, where everyone gets certain skills, if that's the right way to say it, or we improve. But then there's a separate group, if that's, help me out here.
Yep, nope.
You concentrate what they call an elective course. So instead of taking, and I don't know, Jill has some ideas of where it goes, but instead of taking this, that select group would be overtaking this other course, okay? But there is programming that, as this rolls out, all 6th, 7th, 8th graders will end up getting.
All of this is included in that funding?
Mhm.
But it's gonna progress at different rates. You know, as far as, you know, what we need year 1 is different than what
What
you
we
may
need
need
year
at year
two.
2 and year 3. And then as you expand to other schools, if it goes that way.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
So
It's in the A and I plan right now, is to pull, and I have it broken here, roughly, it's about 70,000. But again, it's gonna fluctuate from year 1 to year 3, what the costs are. Because, and again, I'm just gonna speak, like when you talk an AVID director, at the start, we don't need much. You know, we need a little bit of help, but as it grows and it goes to 2 buildings, 3 buildings, or even 2 classes, 3 classes, it'll expand, but it'll be less training too as we get our staff trained.
So
Yep.
even though the cost fluctuates, it's still in the A and I?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
we're really not cutting out, I would say, we're looking at that directorship differently in AVID.
And I guess I'm gonna say retooling on things that I'm gonna say truly fit in A and I.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's some gray areas on what qualifies for this or that, and this definitely falls in.
Right in.
And assume that the state does have to approve too. You
Yep.
know, just because we put forward, if they, for some reason, would know, we don't see it the same way you did, we would be back.
Because
coming
we
forward.
already had a plan there where the state said,
Correct.
and so we had to go back and
Right.
develop this.
And it's no different. Title goes through the same process. There's times things with title don't get approved and you, or we want to change and you amend things, and again, it has to be approved, so.
Okay.
So sorry, I
And
just,
the thing, no, and the thing about AVID too, once the schools get up and running and the PD piece is in place, those site teams really start to own that. So it becomes, not as expensive as it is to get it started. If that makes sense.
But it would continue to be an A and I funded thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Yep. And so the third goal, remember there was 3 goals that were related. The third one being teacher equity. And professional development was what we brought up, our American Indian education. Programming, we've had a part of it come out of here as well, some of that education piece. And then diversity training, which which is more the cultural competency training, which we put in the plan, which is in alignment also with teacher licensure as well. And then the AVID training and pieces and parts. But that sums up the plan in a nutshell. So, any questions?
Can we get a copy of these slides?
Yes.
I have a question. So I did some research on Avid and there's some people that say that when it's done in like lower grades, it hinders problem solving and critical thinking because you're told how to take notes, what to write down and things like that. That is one thing. Like
Where's your research from, Amanda?
I've read at different schools that are implementing
Can you
it.
send that to me?
I guess I would throw, it's like any teaching. Some kids will pick up on things differently than others. I'm not gonna say, you can, dare program. There's people that are in favor of it, people that are against it. I think a common language, and that's a piece that I guess I'm looking at with the AVID piece. I think the goal, at least mine, would be to eventually get down. We're starting with one group, meaning middle school. There's many different ways to implement, and hopefully work back. But I guess from the people I've talked to that have been in it and used it, I've gotten a lot of positive. I mean, I'm not gonna say there can't be some,
I get nervous with comments like that, to be honest, because you could say that about any instructional item
that's what I
that
was
you're
asking.
implement. No, I know. That's why I'm saying, can I see what you're saying and where you got that information from? Because I think we all deserve both sides to do. the
Yeah,
research.
it's from other school board members across the state that
Sure.
have used it. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
more of the younger kids, not the older kids.
Yeah. No, I just.
Is there a way we
like to see
can,
it.
is there a way we can make modifications to how we implement it and roll it out if we have feedback like that from other districts to avoid that?
And I don't know, I've never seen Avid in use. I just, asked around and.
We should go to Holly's school.
Well, I think there's pieces that, and again, I might, if Dave's willing to speak, I mean, I'm not saying there aren't things, and again, I haven't been through the binders of material, and, again, a big piece is the person presented, and that's a piece of teaching. You can give I'm gonna say pick an Algebra 2 curriculum, and it's only as good as the person presenting it to a certain extent. So again, I'm not gonna say there isn't something that we could all find that maybe, hey, because note taken, use it as example. Everyone does things a little differently, and I think it's showing, organization is a big piece that they focus on.
Yeah.
And again, there's many ways to be organized, and it's finding what works and going
I
forward.
just think you're gonna find a handful of people that say, yeah, I don't like it, and you're gonna find a handful of people that say, yeah, it's great. So I think it's up to us to be independent, to do research beyond the opinions,
Mhm.
to figure that out.
Mhm. Did you want to add anything, David? to that? Yeah, I think it would be helpful.
Wiley's coming up, we've spent a lot of trainings together and we went, I don't know if you were on this trip in Bismarck, yeah, you were.
Yes.
But seeing Bismarck, public schools as a middle school educator, where we were doing the 2-column notes and the 3-column notes. And then we toured like their elementary schools and they use that same verbiage when their kids are doing like their morning journals. They say, let's do a 1-column note for journals. And it's really just kids drawing a picture of what happened or, but they still use the same language in kindergarten as a 1-column note. And then when they get to middle school, they're doing 2-column notes or 3-column notes in high school and so on. So just having that consistent language and that consistent format, you can kind of even brand it to your school. It just really helps kids align their work.
Everything she said is so true. Nice to be invited here. Nice to speak into a microphone that I'm not announcing it to. So this is this is nice. I usually use my metaphors in coaching terms just because that's my background as well too. And I say that when I got my first year teaching, the head basketball coach, the first thing he did was he went down to the 7th grade and the upper elementary and said, this is the offense we like to run. This is the way in which we call our plays. We would like you to start doing this parts of offense and defense. Please use these terms as well. And I was like, what are you doing at 6th and 7th grade? He says, well, as you build with that same terminology and those same skills, I don't expect them to run our offense, but I do, when they get to us using those and engaging in those processes and thinking in that fashion, my life gets exponentially easier. And what Holly just mentioned is what we've seen as well too. At that elementary school, it truly is with the flexibility. It systematizes good teaching practices. Avid is nothing new, and I think that's why so many teachers and buildings and districts are very quick to adopt it, because they say, this is great teaching, systematized and structured in a way that makes sense for us. I mean, we ask that of teachers all the time, where we say, please take these great teaching practices and make it work, but we often lack the time and the ability to work. They work horizontally well, but vertically we don't do well. Avid's got that really aligned quite nicely in a very structured, and in a way that you could approach it bit by bit. And I've seen in the schools that in my training, both close by with Bismarck, that I know that I still keep in touch with my friends across the river. We are sitting next to truly a nationally recognized group of schools for Avid right across the river that I can speak to that, I know that. But going around the elementary buildings, it's amazing. The kids, what you do is that you don't have to hope your kid gets that one great teacher or that one great school year, or my kid goes to that one school that's really good. Avid just takes great teaching and systematizes it all the way across. It's been shown. So I think that's a great question that you asked. In my training of what I've seen, both locally, regionally, and nationally, I haven't seen that. It doesn't mean it's not there, but I haven't seen that. But it could be, definitely. But it depends on how the school, with Fidelity, how does the district director work with the buildings to ensure that there's a systemized approach, and that there's a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes to ensure that. But
No, thank you for explaining it further. It's just.
sure, and it's a great question.
Any other? Any other for either of them?
Good.
Great, thank you. Great. I think we're through our communication reports, so we'll go on to the consent.
Hang on, are we doing we have the parent committee and it's under, sorry, the under department heads, they're the American Indian. Sorry.
Go to department heads.
Hi, I'm Kari Shagabe. I am the president of the American Indian Parent Committee.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Campo. I am a member at large on the American Indian Parent Committee as well.
Hold on.
So what we're doing here tonight is, they're gonna explain, our plan and talk about, if we met, desired outcomes is what Cory's gonna bring up to the here.
Was on there, now I just lost it. Oh, no. I feel bad, I'm sorry.
You're okay. Here, where's that? Oh, there we go.
Nope, that wasn't it.
Well, you can just speak to it too. You know what we did.
Okay, so we all agreed to focus on like post-secondary work for our students. Shoot. I don't remember anything else. I can't find it.
Dara didn't send it to me, so I
No.
don't have it.
Oh, right here. We also, all of us on the committee also agreed to support the academic achievement of American Indian students, make curriculum relevant to the needs, interests, and cultural heritage of American Indian pupils, provide positive reinforcement of the self-image of American Indian pupils, develop intercultural awareness among pupils, parents, and staff, and supplement and not supplement state and federal education and co-curricular programs. That is what we all voted on. Do you want me to go into depth of each of them? I'm not really sure.
I don't think
The-
I need
the-
everybody.
The main thing to take away is the committee, the parent involvement committee, in favor of what the program's doing. Because there's a vote of concurrence or non-concurrence. And so I'm guessing it was a vote of concurrence. Is that
Yeah.
correct statement? So, and I think it has a lot to say about the committee. It has a lot to say about the Indian Ed director and working collaboratively with the district. So annually, they have to come forth, or at least, and there's a document to sign that are they in concurrence with what's going on or not? And that's their choice. And so, am I correct in saying that? That's, you're here to report.
Yes. Dara did not give me the
Yep.
sheet.
We have a sheet that has to,
It's in here, right? Or it's in.
I'm guessing, but if it's not, we'll get signatures when needed, but,
Is this committee just for our district or is it for a large area?
no, it's just for our district and it's,
Just curious how many people are on the committee? Okay.
and they are open meetings, like I've attended 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many,
Yeah, anybody can go.
Anybody can go. Our next meeting is next Monday
Okay.
at the Family Resource Center. So I'd invite anyone on the board to come and visit with us.
and the events like the upcoming district-wide powwow, there was a powwow, you know,
Also hold a graduation for
Yep.
our American Indian students too at the end of the year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that coming up.
Do you happen to know the date of that? Cause I always feel like I find that one out last minute.
I don't think they've picked.
Okay,
yet, but,
okay.
Yeah, we do. get that.
There's usually a week or two before graduation.
Okay.
More because they, at that time, they receive their full feathers, so if they want to have it tethered, they have time to do that and beat it before they attach
Okay.
it to their.
Yeah, that's cool.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna move on to the consent agenda and I'm gonna move to approve. Take a second.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion on the consent agenda or anything pulled?
The only comment I would make is on the leave that was requested. There was, I'm in support. Obviously, how do you want to say it? You hate to lose good people. One of the stipulation was that we could find a replacement. We do have a candidate to replace that person. So if you approve this, it's a done deal. And the person, you know, I don't know if everyone's familiar, it's what's called a 3 to 5 year leave in statute. They technically could come back after a year, 2 years, whatever, but they have to notify the district. I think it's February 1st and you can plan. So, as much as we hate to lose the great person, I do recommend that you support it.
Just curious, the person that replaces them, is their job is it only as long as that person's leave?
It becomes a part of stranding and no different than, you know, based on seniority and this and that, because we're going to probably have some other positions that will be hired, you know, that would technically be under it. So it's not like say this person chose to come back at 2 years. It depends on where, you know, the stranding of all the people and licenses and stuff. So, I mean, they need to be aware, or just, well, any of the new hires, you know, that till you work a few years and get up, things aren't, things are never a guarantee, but.
Sure.
I had a question on, so we've had some, I don't remember if it was a vice principal position or a teacher position or whatever. They said they were gonna take the job and then they backed out right before they were going to sign. Or do we have this person ready, willing to sign just in case they back out and then we say, yes, you can have this leave of absence and then still have no teacher?
This person can be under contract at any point. Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion on consent? All those in favor of approving the consent, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. All right. Any opportunity or any citizens that wanted to speak? Okay, didn't hear any either. 8.0 district business. 8.1 is to approve the 2025-2026 school calendar as presented and attached in board book.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
So the only comments I have is it went through a process, and I think we've talked a little bit, a couple options were thrown out. This is the one that the majority of, I think it was just teachers voted on. I don't remember if it was open to everyone. Might have been some other groups, was it? I don't remember, but anyway, come back. It does have, we're recommending the early outs again, going forth. Again, there's not a lot of room for movement based on, you know,
This year.
yeah,
Yeah,
so.
Christmas felt.
nothing shocking or,
Looks a lot like this year. I
all
thought.
right. I know, I looked at it quick.
Well, and again, it's not the first choice I would make, but that's my opinion compared to everyone else. You know, it's weird. So no, I support it and it's move it forward.
Great. All those in favor of approving the 2025-26 school calendar, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 8.2 is to approve the 2025 through 2028 Achievement and Integration Plan. The form that goes along with what Soraya spoke to us about, and it's presented in board book and attached. Take a motion.
I'll take a motion.
Any
Make a
comments?
motion.
Make.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion?
I just want to make a comment. It would have been really nice to have this earlier to be able to really read it and review it and have the opportunity.
And I apologize. I mean, some of the problem or struggles been, we've had to coordinate with Crookston and Thief River, which is, and again, I'm not throwing any of them under the bus. Everyone's busy, but that was part of the problem. Trying to get Avid information, I'll be honest. We talked about it a little bit at last meeting, has been, you know, some of the delay. Unfortunately, there's a March 15th approval. And so it's where we're at. I like I say, I'll take ownership. I apologize. It wasn't earlier. I think it's a good plan. I think it meets the goals and I have no problem putting my name on it. Not to say, I mean, there could have been other things. Yeah, you know, it's like implementation of, you know, there's other things you could be focusing on, maybe PBIS or it's finding something to work towards improvement. Let's put it that way. So I hear what you say.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. All those in favor of approving the Achievement and Integration Plan, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 9.0 payment of claims and accounts.
I'll make the motion to approve the K-12 bills 128958 through 129043 and electronic fund transfers in the amount of $1,278,702.97.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Paying the bills. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Board member comments. Matt, I'll start with you over there.
I just want to say that it's great seeing all the reports about the test scores going up. I think it's a direct result of our teachers, the hard work they put in and the faculty, so thank you for that. And then, we talked a lot about, exciting activities going on. There's 2 more youth hockey teams whose seasons are still going, so good luck to them this weekend. They're playing for the state tournament. That's the Pee Wee B1 team and the Pee Wee AA team. That's all I've got.
I mean, everyone said a lot of things, a lot of good things. I was fortunate enough to go to Moana last week at the middle school, and I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of kids out there did too.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things, a lot of really cool things. I love seeing how involved all of our students are and how, you know, just like Mr. Laura said, just the quality of character that we're seeing students and athletes and activities, just all of the different things that they're able to focus on and do very well. And that's makes me really proud to be in our community.
Yeah, yeah. Amanda.
I'm just really happy with the test scores that we got from New Heights, and I'm really happy for the hockey teams and all the exciting things for sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the data. I appreciate getting that. And the activities that are going great. That's really awesome. It was fun to hear the seniors on the hockey team were my last year of teaching second graders, so it was fun to hear their names being said again, and it's good to hear they're doing well in school. So that's awesome.
I take notes during the meeting so I can mention things at the end, and there's so many things. South Point safety concerns, people slow down. That's my quip for that. School-wide powwow on March 21st. I'm assuming there'll be more information coming on that because that sounds pretty cool. Hockey, of course. First state tournament I've been through too since I was in 8th grade, and that was girls basketball, much different. Really cool. Robotics Worlds. Wow. Esports, had no idea. That's very cool. The booster tournament this weekend, I'm baking for it. I'm sure many are too. I think they still need help, so if you can sign up and do a door, that'd be awesome. Thanks for the data. Wow. Lots of cool things. It is a good time to be a Green Wave, and go Eagles too, because that is pretty cool that they go to state as well.
Well, and as far as that goes, Dr. Brenner and I go back and forth a little bit, you know, in support of each other. And a week ago, 2 weeks ago, both hockey teams battling. You can't win, can't lose on that side type deal. So there's something in the water in the valley right now.
All right, next board meeting is in 2 weeks on March 24th, 2025 at 5:30. So I'll move to adjourn the regular meeting. I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion on adjourning? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion